For those about to rock, we salute you.
Oh, that was horrible.
Really? Because I was impressed.
I think it started off good, and then it got a little pitchy at the end.
Oh, okay. We can work on that later.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. So anyways, we are talking about rock and roll. We are talking about all things music because who did we bring in today?
We brought in Dave White from Dave White's Music Loft, and it was such an absolute pleasure to have a conversation with him. Like, my wife has been talking for months that, like, you got to meet Dave White. You got to meet Dave White. He'd be a great interview for the podcast. And I'd be like, yeah, okay. And like, very cool. And then ran into him at the Arts and Music Festival, and it was just like, you're the guy. We got to talk. And we made this thing happen. It was such an interesting story. I think we talked mostly about, his philosophy on music and what an impact, like, being a teacher of music is, and, his journey from listening to music as a kid to all the way to starting his own business and what brought him to Hamilton.
Yeah, it was a unique, different kind of venture than I was expecting. It was really cool, and I don't want to give any spoilers, so you're just going to have to dive into this bad boy.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dave White.
I'm going to save it for now. You look so awake today, brother.
I am more awake than I've been probably in a month.
Did you drink, what is it, coffee? What did you do today?
It is actually sleeping, for about a month I was getting like 2 to 3 hours a night prepping for the festival. And then, I don't know, I've been getting like close to 7 or 8 hours of sleep in the last week. And
that's a real number, 2 to 3 hours?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh my God, you look a million times better. You look beautiful, brother.
Thank you.
You looked beautiful before,
but it takes a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you're glowing, dude. You're glowing,
thanks,
but not glowing as much as our guest today.
Oh, yeah,
Don, who did you bring here today?
I'm very excited to bring Dave White from Dave White's Music Loft here. And welcome, Dave.
Wait, we didn't say it. Oh. Welcome to the clubhouse.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to make a point of that.
All right, we'll do that now.
Well, it definitely feels like a clubhouse.
Yeah.
You like the podcast shed?
Yeah. It's a good aesthetic in here.
Thanks, dude. This is my podcast shed / man cave. This is where, you saw my school. I live in a school, so it's good to be able to sometimes have a place for grown-ups.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dope.
Thank you, dude. Coming from a rock star, that means a lot.
So go on.
Yeah, I mean, we met very briefly at the Arts and Music Festival, but like my wife's like, you gotta get Dave White on. You gotta get Dave White on because Jen and Kaylee have been taking music lessons, drum lessons with Ethan over at the Music Loft, and they just can't say enough good things about that experience. So I'm glad that we ran into each other.
Yeah, it was another fateful thing that's been happening the past month.
I can tell that you might believe in things such as fate because you have come here with, for the first time ever in podcasting history, at least in this shed, you have come with a fortune from a fortune cookie.
That's right.
Can you tell us why?
Well, I go get sushi after school. I also teach at Archbishop Bryan in Philadelphia, Northeast Philadelphia, twice a week. And I teach guitar. I go there to teach guitar. We have a whole staff there that's like where people are dedicated to their instruments. There's a trombone teacher, like a horn teacher, trumpet, trombone. There's a woodwinds teacher, flute and saxophone. So it's really cool. Because if you come from public school like me, that doesn't exist. Yeah. Our Catholic school really does a great job having professionals teach like their special instrument.
Wow.
Alongside the director of music. So I go get sushi sometimes, and I keep the fortune cookies if they're a good one. And the really good ones stay in my wallet. The good ones just stay in my car. So I got like a cup holder with a bunch of fortune cookies. I'm like an old lady with instead of like cigarettes, it's fortune cookies.
How long have you been doing that for?
Well, I don't get sushi that much, so I'd say the past year. Yeah. But like every once in a while, because I go to work I wake up at 7. I got to get to Philly, and my day starts around 9:30, and I'm like 9:30 to a little after 1. Go on 95, come home, and I'm usually not that hungry, and sushi like does me just right. And gives me enough energy without feeling tired to do my 4 to 8 at my studio here in Hamilton, because I teach 4 to 8. So I come home, I'm not having dinner till 10. Because I live 45 minutes away down in Camden
you get a
County.
nice mix of protein with the good, healthy carbs and the rice.
That's a long day, man.
It is a long day, but it keeps me going. Because if I have like bread, I'm done. I am done. But I have good news too. I quit smoking in mid-April.
Okay.
I made sure I did it when I had to take a trip to New Mexico, to get away from my home, and that's how I knew I was going to do it. And my energy with this new primary care physician, I go to Tom's River to go see this new primary care physician. He got me on certain things I was missing, like folic acid. My folly was low. Vitamin D, but once a week. A sublingual B12, because I was on B12 before, but it didn't do nothing for me. But the sublingual one, maybe that's the magic.
What is sublingual?
Under your tongue. Under your tongue. So
straight into the bloodstream.
Yeah, so you're not swallowing.
I wonder, because I don't know, you take vitamin B, Don?
No.
Dude, when you take vitamin D, the next time you go pee, it is neon. It is black light, heavy. Yeah, it is something. Oh, wow. I'm like, am I digesting any of this B? I don't know. Hopefully I feel good.
Well, he has it on me, has me doing it once a week, because I'm like, you gave me 12 pills. They're like once a week. I'm like, ooh, I'm glad I asked now, because I took it like 2 days in a row. I'd be probably like off the walls maybe if I was taking it every day.
You get prescribed vitamin B?
Not vitamin B, vitamin D. Vitamin D I got prescribed.
Why don't you just get it off the shelf? What's?
It's probably not as quality. That's my guess. I have no idea. But he prescribed me vitamin D. And maybe a certain dosage needs to be prescribed. But I'm telling you, I have quit smoking before, and I haven't felt this great. So it's not just the non-smoking; it's both worlds. So I've been off the walls, and I've been riding a wave like I have never rode in my life. Like I am really feeling it. Yeah. Like I am really positive. And that event you guys threw, what was it, May 4th?
You talking about the Arts and Music Festival?
Yes. That started it all. Like that fired me up. Like, cool. And the fortune cookie I have here. Yeah. And I forgot about this cookie. It wasn't until a few days ago I realized, oh shit, am I allowed to curse?
Yeah.
Oh, you fucking want, brother.
I have a fortune cookie that foretold this months ago, and I mean, like, I probably got this in like February. The fortune cookie reads, "This May, your relationships will deepen and become more meaningful." Now, I forgot about it. So some people, like my lovely partner, LP, my girlfriend, she says you point to things. People, you point to things and then you make it come true. You
physically point?
Not, I physically pointed. I talk with my
fingers pointed back at you, brother.
Yeah. But like your mind focuses on things and makes it happen.
Yeah.
Manifesting. You manifest. Yeah. It's all manifesting. Exactly. Thank you. But sometimes I'm like, excuse me. I mean, maybe I subconsciously manifested that, because I did not consciously manifest that. Right. I didn't go into May being like, oh, here's the month that fortune cookie said was going to be good, so now I'm going to act good. Right. Or now I'm going to, like, magic's going to, like, that did not happen.
Sure.
And then what was the official title of the fest? It was Hamilton's
the Hamilton Arts and Music Festival.
I didn't know about it. I did not know about it, because when the Hamilton groups, there's tons of events that get posted. Sure. Yeah. It gets lost. Yeah. I woke up that morning. I love Debbie Kay's group on Hamilton. She's become a good friend too.
Oh, I just became friends with her too.
Cool. She's great. Yeah. She is awesome. I've been on the phone with her a lot. She is really cool. So she posted again, God bless her, that morning, the festival. And I literally woke up, I looked at my phone, like, what's going on? I saw that. I'm like, I got to go down there. I got to go, Like, that's the time for me to promote. And it takes a lot of guts to promote, because I'm a one-man show running this studio. And no one wants to be the guy handing out pamphlets, right? And it's a way to do that kind of thing. You have to be a people person, and you have to be appropriate, You don't want to hand it to every parent and child you see. You're going to come off creepy, first of all. You know, you just can't do it that way. You go there to be a part of the community. And if you run into someone and you're having a conversation, then you give it out. Or if sometimes if it's not going well and I'm just asking people, I'll ask first, are you from Hamilton? Because if they're not, they're not coming to the studio.
Right, for sure.
Right. But if they're there, and sometimes like, you know, you see a kid, like I even saw a kid there, Suicidal Tendency shirt. Hey, are you from Hamilton? You interested in playing guitar? Yeah, actually I am. Like sometimes you really get a good response. You hand him the pamphlet or what have you, you know? But I went there with a good attitude. It was a beautiful day. It was like the perfect day.
Perfect day.
It really was like the perfect day. And I just started talking to artists and musicians. I have not had such quality conversations with strangers since I was a kid in the late 90s. I really mean it. Because I talked to people for like a solid 20 minutes. And then one guy I talked for 2 hours. And within those 2 hours, not once did it feel like I welcome to my stay or it was never awkward. Like it was a wholesome 2 hours just hanging out, having a good conversation with this artist.
Dude, let me give you my thoughts because I'm really curious. Like, so you're saying not giving it to everybody, having these good best conversations, which is awesome, dude. By the way, that he's having these kind of conversations. But like, are you too much in your own head about these things? Like, do you worry too much about what people are gonna think or something like that? Because I feel like you could present these flyers to just about anyone. I'm that kind of guy, maybe, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like, this is a freaking guy, leave me alone. But at the same time, you know, it's that old thing, more fishing hooks in the water. I don't know. Maybe that's not a thing.
I don't know fishing.
You certainly can. I apologize if I came off like there's only one way to do it.
No,
you know
I'm glad you're being real. I'm really curious about your thought process with it.
You know, you really just got to feel the day, but you got to go in with a good attitude.
For
you
sure.
know, because
for sure.
it's an awkward, like, come on, right? It's an awkward thing to do,
Yeah.
but you have to break through. It doesn't have to be awkward. It's no different than performing music, right? It could be awkward, but then it's not.
I think that, and you're totally right, it totally could be awkward. You're trying to sell something to someone who wasn't even trying to be sold anything. But I think that the way to make it less awkward or not awkward at all is if you could just let that stuff out of your head and just go for it. I'm a friendly dude. You seem like someone approachable, you know, just go up to him. I just kind of go up to everybody, and I don't know how I come across a lot of times, but like, yeah, I feel like you could do that, dude, and just throw those flyers out to just about anybody. And do you agree? Or?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think there's that middle ground, right? You know, because I think in one ways, yeah, being a little bit heavy-handed with that can come, be a little bit, be a bit of a turnoff. So yeah, I think going with a little bit of caution is good, and I think, like to your point, is that you definitely get a lot more people interested in what you have to say when you're interested in what they have to say first. Yeah. You know, like by having those like conversations, by starting with conversations with people and, you know, hey, what do you do? You know, what's going on? Your band was great. You know, I love your art. Starting off with that, and then they get to know you by you getting to know them.
You have to be genuine. Really, I think back to your point too, like, there's times where I could be cynical, and I hate small talk. I hate small talk.
You're not alone with that.
You know,
yeah.
And that's my point, praising your fest. I had no small talk. I had solid, wholesome, real conversations. And you have to and being genuine, it's like, I don't go up to these artists and start talking about myself. You don't do that.
No.
They're, first of all, they're there presenting their art. You know, they're the presenter. And some of them don't even know what the hell I did or what the hell I do.
Yeah.
You know, just go up and talk about their art and appreciate them, and it's their day.
Yeah.
And then some did ask, and you tell them, this is what I do. That's why I'm here today. If they bring it up, or if it's relevant.
Hey, I have a question. Did any bald weirdo come up to you asking you to buy crayons?
I saw the videos on the Hamilton group, and that was you.
That was totally me.
But
shamelessly asking people to buy crayons.
But you made a good day.
Yeah.
You know, like you have to be lively.
I definitely played a part, but I gotta say, Don is the godfather of this event, and not only that, it's really cool to hear this from you because after an event, this is what the fourth one or fifth?
Fifth. This is the
My
fifth
goodness,
one.
fifth one. My goodness. It's like we talked to each other. Man, it felt good. It seemed like everyone was happy. So to hear someone like you
Oh yeah.
saying that not only you had a good time, but he had some of the best conversations he's had since the 90s.
Yeah.
Now, you talked a lot with Wayne, right?
Yeah, I talked a lot. I wanted to bring him up. I wanted to give a shout out to a few of those people, but Wayne was the main one because that's the one I spoke to for 2 hours.
Well, he's a musician too.
Yeah.
Like, I do a lot of drums, I believe.
Yeah, drums.
Yeah.
And real recognizes real.
Yeah.
You know, like when people want to like just brag about it, like that's like a warning sign.
For sure.
There was none of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, he's a legit dude.
Legit, real. Wasn't pushing his art either.
We've had him on the show.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
He was so cool, and the people he was there with were equally as cool.
Yeah.
And what caught my eye was I love the band Queensryche, and I love the album Operation Mindcrime. And as soon as I walked by, he had a big painting, Operation Mindcrime, and it was updated with both Biden and Trump. And I'm like, that's awesome. I pointed to him like, that's awesome. And then we had a conversation about metal, and then just took off about music and his art. I mean, I ended up buying something from my friend, and then what I saw in the artwork from my friend, I just presented it to him 2 nights ago. I said, doesn't it remind you of the Information Society album? He said, that's exactly what I thought before you even said it. You know, because sometimes art doesn't have to be for you. You can look for other people, you know, and it's like, this doesn't speak to me, even though I love it, but this speaks to my best friend, and this would look great with his record collection. He has a whole library of CDs and records, and like that's going to look great in that room. Yeah. So I knew it was going to be a quality gift that he was going to really like.
Right.
It was a wholesome day.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just like the best day of the month. Like that's going to be one of the best days of my life.
Wow.
You know, like that's powerful.
Wow,
you know,
dude.
like that's how much of a good day it was. Man. You know,
I really do think that the vibes of that fest, I mean, especially after last year where it got rained, the weather was just so crappy. It still was a good day, but the weather makes a big difference. It's outdoors, and just this one couldn't have, in my opinion. I wasn't behind the scenes like you, but
no, it was just like, so. I don't want to monopolize too much of this conversation about the festival, but like coming off the end of it, like all of the bands. Solid, not just great performances, because we've had some great performances, but great people.
Yes.
Like super solid, like coming up to you and saying like, really had a great time. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
they made me feel great.
And it was probably the most we've had people hanging out at the stage.
Yes,
too,
100%.
And that was really cool to see.
And they were playing music that I really love. Like I was shocked that here's like this. They looked young. They looked like they were 18
Oh, they were
20.
all teenagers, man.
Yeah, they're playing the Sundays, which is kind of like a deep cut dream pop band,
Okay.
like shoegaze, like pre-shoegaze, like that kind of 90s alternative rock. Like that's not no Nirvana. You know what I mean? That's like that kind of like midstream alternative rock has become more popular with the younger generation. I suppose because their parents are Gen X, so they're growing up listening to it. Yeah. But like it's just crazy to hear. Like you don't expect it. Like they're playing these tunes. I'm like, I know that tune.
And they're the best.
They're awesome, and I'm like, I bet you a lot of people don't know this tune, but the kids are. It's like that Marty McFly scene, like. You're not going to get it, but your kids are going to love it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And like, there was probably baby boomers there thinking they were like original songs, but like the Gen X and the Gen Z crowd knew it was
for sure.
These dream pop songs, like and new wave, like The Cure, they played too.
Yeah, man, yeah.
Polaroid, was it
Polaroid Fade?
Yeah, that was the band. That was the band name. Yeah, like blew my mind.
They were all so cool. Before and after I introduced all of them, they were all just such good people. To sum it up, I just love them.
I got to give a shout out to Kozer too. I think that's how you pronounce the name.
Yeah.
Right, Kozer or Kuzer.
Yeah, Kara Kozer.
Yeah. I talked to the lead singer, and they're playing the Beard Fest this year in Hamilton. That's Ethan, the drum teacher at my studio. That's his festival with his band.
Yeah.
They throw it every year. It's like the biggest festival in Hamilton. I think I can say that, right? It's huge.
Sure.
I mean, it's Woodstock. It's Woodstock in New Jersey, but it's in Hamilton, Paradise Lakes. I mean,
straight up 206.
Brother, we want to know about you. So
I appreciate it, but just that May 4th really fired me up.
Well, that definitely tells us a lot about you. I train at Instinct all the time. I teach there too. And
no,
I'm the bald guy.
I can't believe I didn't
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
That's me.
I'm sorry that I guess because you're wearing the hat. I've seen you with the kids.
Yeah.
But like when you're doing the kids, I'm just getting in.
Yeah, and it always looks like you have a steady stream of clients coming in. So it seems like you're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I mean, I have a studio connected to a gym. Right? Like let's just be real about it, right? It's a studio connected to a gym, a music studio. The people come out in the back to see me, and I'm doing good.
Yeah.
That's an accomplishment. That really is a real accomplishment. There's no storefront, if you will. I'm not in the main street of town.
But I got to tell you, like going in the back door, it like feels way more rock and roll than going up, you know?
I agree.
Totally
I agree. It is cool, and it's nice private parking. I love my little private space. I like walking in.
I didn't even know that like a space like that existed.
Most people know when I talk to them for the first time, I say, do you know where the Goodwill drop-off is? And they say, yes. And I say, just keep going, and you'll see my white Jeep. Yeah. And they come in, and it's fine. You know, I never had any issues.
I'm guessing you probably get most by word of mouth by this point?
At this point, yes. Word of mouth, but downtown Hamilton, a lot of the business owners have supported me, too. Like, awesome. They allow me to have my flyers up. And I'll go in like 4 months later, and they're still up. Yeah. I just got a phone call today because the owner of Jersey Video Games has mine on his door, and a student called me, and he told me where he saw me. He went to Jersey Video Games, he bought games, and he saw that. He's a music major, and like he was really excited. He's like, "You teach guitar in Hamilton?"
I would have to run this by the real boss, my wife. But, I mean, you know, summer camp, if there's a day, like maybe during party day, you want to come in with your guitar and be like, hey, check out these chords, and we'll pass out flyers. We'd be happy to help you out, man.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I'll tell you this, though. I'm going to be filled by June.
Even better.
I think, you know.
You might have to start hiring people.
Yeah, there's only like 3 days left. Friday evening's tough because people want to do things.
Yeah.
Sure.
But there's a Tuesday available and a Saturday morning available.
Oh, so you're not needing a whole bunch of clients. You just need to fill a slot or two.
For me, I teach Wednesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, so there's a few slots available, but I just got the phone calls for those slots.
Wow.
So they're incoming students.
So, dude, let's get into it. How did this all start? What was the album? What was the childhood? What got you into music so heavy?
When I was really little, I liked my CDs. You know, I really liked movies, and like what any kid in the late '90s should like Ace Ventura, Batman. I still have all the Batman films on VHS.
Nice.
And I played them not too long ago, like maybe like 3 years ago, and they're still working. So I'd get a bunch of soundtracks, and I loved listening to my CDs. I would swing on the swing set and listen to CDs and just imagine.
What CDs are we talking here?
So soundtracks, like Batman soundtrack.
Okay.
Danny Elfman stuff.
Yeah, even the score stuff, yeah.
Was Kiss from a Rose? That was Batman, right?
That was Batman Forever.
Oh, heck yeah, dude.
And that was the tune I loved. And it was so fun, because when you open up the album art, the Kiss from a Rose, the lyrics were set to Tommy Lee's picture, Two-Face. So I had like this imagination that the reason why he's Two-Face because he kissed a rose from the grave. It's a very childish imagination.
Yeah, dude.
Because the lyric sheets in the CDs, but like the picture for Kiss from a Rose was the Tommy Lee still shot.
That's hilarious.
Did you get the Prince album from the first movie?
Oh yeah, I remember listening to it, but I don't remember loving it. I love it now, but I still used to listen to it. But I was like, sometimes I would just listen to things just to listen to them.
Sure.
You know, like just like passively. The Batman Forever one I really loved because like I love that Seal tune. Batman and Robin one is really good. I still visit that one. That is like super late 90s, like Smashing Pumpkins, Goo Goo Dolls. Like it's an aesthetic. It's a vibe. You know, it really teleports you to that time. You know, when I listen to it, I can like feel like I'm living in like Batman Beyond, like those darker cartoons.
Right,
you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
the late 90s really had that sound where you feel like you're in a darker cartoon because like there was like a lot of trip hop, like Portishead, like stuff like that. But even the rock bands like Smashing Pumpkins started having those electronic drum sounds and stuff. And it's not just them. There's a lot. Like there's that style. So yeah, as a little kid, I liked CDs. I liked classical music. I remember my grandfather taking me to see Peter and the Wolf, stuff like that. I loved very early on. If someone asked me what my favorite genre is, like it's almost hard to say, but if I had to pick, I would say new wave, 80s new wave, like that genre. And when I was a kid, they'd have the commercials where it'd be like like compilation CDs,
Sure.
and just seeing the 80s stuff, it just looks so adult to me. That's what really appealed to me. Like this is what adults do. And of course there was the catchy melodies, but like, you know, even Dead or Alive with the eye patch. And of course now you see that and it's very flamboyant because you know what it's about. But as a kid, it just looks like fantasy come to life.
Freaking pirate.
You know, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I always loved that music. And then Vice City came out, and that was like the baddie game that everyone needed to get and bugged their parents to get. And I just loved it. I loved it because I wanted to live in that world. To this, and even as a kid, I always got I was an old soul. Just got it recently too. That night, May 4th, not to go off topic, but after your event, I went to Laughing Fox, the bar, and I sat next to a psychic, and I turned to her. I said, "Are you a psychic?" Because I recognized her. She said, "Yes, I am." And we had like a whole deep conversation. And she even said, "You're an old soul." I said, "I know. I've gotten it since I was a kid." We both said, "Since I was a kid." We both like said the sentence. But yeah, like new wave and everything. But I didn't still want to be a musician. I was really into history, specifically World War II and Civil War. I used to visit Civil War towns.
And stuff.
Yeah, Manassas, because my aunt lived in Virginia and Gettysburg. And I was really into like war history, and everyone used to tell me as a kid, "You'd be a great history professor. That's what you should be when you grow up." But I didn't want to be a historian. I wanted to live it. I wanted to be the men carrying that flag on Iwo Jima. You know, I wanted to be the Army Ranger. I wanted to live it. I wanted to live the history. I wanted to have the story to tell. So I had a dream of being an Army Ranger, and then when I was 11, I was watching Family Guy, and they had Kiss on the episode. And I was shocked to hear that they were like a pop band. Because at that time, I knew about heavy metal, but I didn't know the word heavy metal. All I knew was death metal. I thought death metal was metal. I thought that was the only metal, was death metal. I had a friend, and his sister had a boyfriend, and downstairs had all like the posters, like Slipknot, Behemoth, real death metal, like Dying Fetus. And I just knew that. I know. I knew about that music. Like,
yeah.
But the dudes like Slipknot and Behemoth, they looked like Kiss. So I always assumed that Kiss was like the proto death metal band because they looked like one.
Yeah.
But I was so shocked from this episode. It's like party, rock and roll all night, party every day, and they're playing in the Family Guy. I'm like, they sound. That's what they sound like. They're like a pop band with good melodies. And I got really into the band. I got like, because again, what did I grow up with?
Yeah.
Batman and Peter Pan. I loved all these things. And here's these four men that have these archetypes on their face painted, you know, and they're adults living this fantasy, and they're beloved, and they write good music. Yeah. So it's like all the things I kind of love just formed in the, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let me ask this from someone who may not know. I always thought the stereotype with Kiss was that their music wasn't written very well, and they were. Don't they get that hate a lot? I mean, I'm not crapping on them.
I don't know. I mean, I always thought like I'm not necessarily like a card carrying member of the Kiss Army, but but man, like songs like Beth and stuff like that. It's like I never really. I don't know if I remember them actually. The first memory I have of Kiss was when they took their makeup off for the first time on Sid and Marty Krofft's
Yeah, and they're hideous.
special. Yeah, it's just
Yeah, they were hideous. They're so bad.
four middle-aged guys from Long Island.
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
So I thought that was it was just like, I've seen the makeup before, but then to see that they're just dudes,
just some dudes.
And I don't know, their music has always, I thought, felt pretty just catchy, and like it might be a little bit more.
It's pop,
mainstream.
That's why I said pop, because it really is. It's it's popular music, but you aren't wrong. They do get that criticism.
They get that rap, right?
But they're like the band that has influenced so many like really heavy metal musicians, like Dimebag Darrell from Pantera is like
really?
the big. Oh, you didn't know that? He is such a fan. He was buried with a Kiss casket because Dimebag Darrell got shot on stage in 2004. They buried him with a Kiss casket. They buried him with a Kiss casket, and they put in Eddie Van Halen's guitar, the yellow and black one, with his body. And I remember watching Behind the Music, and the original Pantera singer from the 80s, because before they got big in the 90s, they were like a local Texas band that were really grinded and had like albums before they even got signed. And he said that if you told Darrell that Darrell, when you die, that guitar is going to be in your casket, he would have said, "Kill me now." But that's just one example. I mean, Rob Zombie, John Five, his guitar player, who now plays with Motley Crue themselves. I mean, you name it. They all say Kiss is what inspired them. But Dimebag Darrell is like the biggest example, because there's like a million pictures of him as a little kid dressed up as Ace Frehley. He had Ace Frehley tattooed on him, and obviously Pantera is a very beloved metal band in the culture.
I don't have a ton of friends who are Kiss fans, but the ones that I do who are Kiss fans, I mean, they are all in. Do you know Ray Scipione?
No, I don't.
Okay, he's in town. He's on the school board, all that stuff. But anyways, this guy's got a whole room dedicated to Kiss.
Whoa.
He's got everything, like the pinball machines, everything.
That's cool.
He's got it.
But Kiss made me go research what is this music, and then I learned about heavy metal. Because remember, I told you I thought metal was just death metal.
Sure.
I didn't really know the term heavy metal, and I learned about this music, and then it became like Alice Cooper and Motley Crue, and reading Wikipedia, because I was in the history. I'm reading deep into this stuff, and then. A lot of people assume because of my age I didn't grow up they're like, you didn't grow up on music videos or MTV. Well, that's true. There wasn't music videos there were still music videos on MTV, but it wasn't all day long. It wasn't the MTV that Gen Xers grew up with. However, I did have VH1 Classic, which was like the MTV of my generation. And for the longest time, probably for like 2 decades at this point, they've had Metal Mania, which was like my Headbangers Ball. It's actually probably better than Headbangers Ball in some way, because there was no douchey interviews, because a lot of people hated the host, Ricky Rackman. You know what I mean? They'd call him a poser and stuff. Like this was just music videos. Yeah. There was nothing to stir your opinion, no fluff, just music videos. So you get everything and at the time, because again, it was VH1 Classic. I'm a kid in the 2000s, a teenager. So it was mostly just 70s and 80s. There wasn't very much 90s. There was some. But I got into heavy metal periodically, coincidentally. I got into the 70s, I got into the 80s, I got into the 90s, And then, of course, I started off into other kinds of music. And I started off as a bass player. I grew up, I picked up saxophone in 4th grade, because that was the grade you could pick up an instrument. And I got good at it fast, and I was like, maybe this is my thing. Like, I didn't go into saxophone thinking anything of it. I just was mesmerized by the instrument. I used to wake up in the morning and just play with the keys. That really cool innocence, almost like you see a fantasy movie and you see a guy look at a sword. And that was my ritual: getting on my knees, open up the saxophone case, and just playing with the keys and I got good at it. Of course, it makes you feel good, because sports was my older brother's thing. He was a really good pitcher, My dad always tells people I was a really good batter, but I didn't feel that way. I didn't feel like it was really, like I liked it, but it wasn't my thing. So I'm like, maybe this is my thing. So when I got in the Kiss, I'm like, well, if saxophone went good for me, I think bass will go good for me. So I picked up bass, and I was really all into it. And I really just wanted to be a bass player. I wanted to be the best bass player I could possibly be. Like, I wanted to be one of the greats. Like, that was my goal at 11, you know. But doing bands growing up, it never went well. None of my friends took it seriously. They would even talk a big game, but they would never take it seriously. And you know, you'd have falling outs. So by the time I entered high school, I didn't want no bands because I knew all the drama it had. I just knew I'm just going to worry about myself and keep getting better. And I picked up guitar because I got into shoegaze, which I briefly mentioned earlier. Like My Buddy Valentine, all these 90s bands that were really like soundscape. I'm like, a guitar can do that? I'm not going to find anybody that can play like that around here or is even into that. Because back then, shoegaze was not popular with my generation, and let alone Gen Z. They were just like getting born, I guess, at that time. You know, it was still kind of underground shoegaze and just known by Gen Xers. And it was also a British style of music, so it was way more popular in Britain than it was ever in America.
For those who don't know, what is shoegaze?
Shoegaze, it's the term is like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying like the guitarists used to look at their shoes because they were always changing the pedals. They like all these bands have a million guitar pedals on the ground. And since it's such like a sonic landscape of music, they're always hitting the pedal with their feet. So they're instead of like putting on a show, they're staring down onto their shoes, hitting the pedal with their feet. So it's shoe gaze. They're gazing at their shoes.
I got it. Yeah.
So that's where the genre term came. But the music itself is rock and roll. That's very dreamy, very and distorted. It's heavy. I mean. My Buddy Valentine, this one historian described it as like a mermaid falling into a black hole. I mean, go look up the album Loveless. That's the main album. It's a pink album. It looks like a mermaid falling into a black hole, and it sounds like one. I mean, it's gorgeous music, but it's surreal. And I knew I was not going to find... I was already into metal from the 20th century, 70s, 80s, 90s. I hated the modern metal. I really did not like modern music growing up. You know, I mean, it was like you walked into a Walmart, you walked into the gym. It was party rock. You know, it really felt like. Did you have several experiences where you had a band together and you guys actually made your own music? No, only until later on. I joined one of my favorite when I was in college, like 2017. I went to college from 2012 to 2018. 2017, I joined my favorite heavy metal band in Philadelphia. They have a crazy name. It's called the Magnificent Shithawks of the Greater Northern Americas.
Wow, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Did you just like apply? They needed.
I played bass. It was awesome. I mean, we killed Philly. I mean, people loved the band especially when I was in the band. Like we really fired because it was a whole kind of a new. The drummer and guitar player made the band, but when I joined, they had a new singer who I was always a fan of, and he was in a band called Fuckface, which I don't recommend looking up. That is like the most graphic grindcore, you know. But like he was a cool dude, and we knew him, and he joined the band. Then I joined the band, so it was a whole new iteration of the band, and we'd play L Bar. People crack up when I tell them this. They're like, you played L Bar? It's like a really tiny bar. Security was great to us. They loved us. They were kind to us. It's kind of like a hipster bar. And we even had T-shirts that said hashtag hipster kill team. I mean, because that's like when hipster was really trendy, like around those years. And everyone loved us. And we were really heavy. But it was such an honor. Like it was such good feedback to see as a band, like, here are these hipsters. Here are these people that are not here for the band, who would probably be bothered by the band because we're really heavy. We got Dave. The lead singer's name's Dirty Dave. He's growling. He's inappropriate, and they loved it. Everyone loved it, and that was really fun. But I didn't stay long. The band, like again, there's always drama in bands, but like they were like ADHD. Like they want to do this, they want to do that. And I was doing college class. I was getting my degree in classical guitar. So simultaneously, while I'm doing this really heavy metal band, I'm playing the lute and I'm playing classical guitar. And I'm like, I got to focus on that. So I dropped that band and just focused on my classical guitar. And then I got into the cover band world. That's what I did for 2.5 years. I was in a wedding band, cover band. That's probably the best.
Was that fun? I guess it would depend on the wedding, right?
No. Depends on the band. I'll say I'll say the good stuff. Most of the band really got along. We all really loved each other. And I'm still very close with those guys. And majority of us have all moved on from that band and are all doing better than ever. One of them, the members, is a trumpet player, Dan Wright, and he's in the Philadelphia Pops. It was such an honor to play with these people. Like, they're like the best of the Philly musicians, and I get to play with them. And I get to be in a band with them and befriend them every night, play with them every night. I befriended them. We became very close. He's in the Philly Pops. He's actually played for Seal. He played with Seal, went to Russia to play with Seal. He recently left the band like a year ago. He's touring the world now. He is touring the world, playing a rock orchestra. So it's like a orchestra, violins, horns, woodwinds. There's a drummer, but they're playing like string arrangements of like Chop Suey by System of a Down.
I would go to that.
Oh yeah, they played Philly, and they'll be back around. It's getting bigger and bigger, and he's a part of it. He's a part of this like first iteration of this rock orchestra thing. I think the band has even split off into two, so like play like while one band's playing in Australia, the other one's playing in Europe. You know what I mean? Yeah. So everyone's doing really well. One of the other member of the band plays for John Legend. When he wasn't playing with us, he was playing with John Legend. So I got to play with people that were that level, and that's an honor in itself. But a lot of people assume that why wouldn't you want to keep doing that? Because if your relationship with music is healthy, it's not about that. It's not about who you're playing with and what accolades you get and all this. There's tons of musicians, you meet them, and like the moment you meet them, they're just rambling on about themselves and their career, and it's like, oh my God, get me away from this man. You know, my band, by the way, was not like that. None of those guys were like that. I'm just saying, like, when I left the band, some of them were like, why do you want to give this up? You know, they were like, why would you want to give this up?
So why do you want to give it up?
I'm not going to get into that. I wasn't, well, I'll say it nicely. I wasn't treated well. I didn't like how the way I was treated, and I don't like the way other people were treated. I did not like the way other people were treated. And it's not so much the band, like the sound guys and stuff. I mean, the leader would just like get in the face of a sound guy every night. And I'll just say it like that. Like, you know what I mean? It was stuff like that where it's like, I'm not living my life like this, you know? So this brings me to why I'm in Hamilton. When I got in the band in 2020, my goal was to save up for a home. And I'm from Camden County, where there is nothing but Wawas and pizza shops and more Wawas and more Walmarts. Oh, look at that beautiful tree. Cut it down, build a Wawa. I mean, my county has no culture, especially, well, I can't say that in general, but like where I'm at, the Somerdale, Magnolia, Lindenwold, Stratford area, there ain't no like healthy food option, no culture. Sure. It's pretty bad. Not violence, but you get what I'm saying. It's not a great place to live. And Hamilton really always inspired me because I love the open fields. It looks like the New Jersey my grandfather always described, the one he grew up in, you know, seeing the farmland, seeing the community. Hamilton's, even in my county, like when you say Hamilton, people are like, people in Hamilton have money. That's a rich town, you know, because they think of the old days with the millionaires. I've learned some Hamilton history along the way. Like, you know, like Hamilton had more millionaires per capita than any town in the country. Yeah, that's what a lot of these old heads have told me. Not just one, a few. I looked at like Zillow or something, and I found this house in Hamilton, and I dreamed about living in this house, and I even screenshotted it. And that was Bill Doyle's house in 2020.
Bill Doyle's the half owner of Instinct.
That's funny.
This was in 2020. Didn't know what that guy looked like. This is just from like Zillow or something. And he I assume he renovated the house and he was selling it, but he ended up living in it. It was a nice home. I dreamed about living in it. And my goal with the band was to save up enough money to buy a house. Well, for the record, that's not happening. You know, that is not like in terms of me buying a home. You know, that ship has sailed, especially starting a business. You know,
I was not expecting the end of the story.
Not to be negative.
The house.
But years later, I left the band in 2022, and I was my girlfriend's parents live in Cape May, and we wanted to meet halfway for her to be with me, like just drop her off, be with me. So I said, they're like, where should we meet? I said, we should meet in Hamilton. So I live off the Pike. I've gone to a million gigs in Atlantic City. Sometimes I do take the Pike, just to for whatever reason. Even though the expressway is faster, I'll take the Pike sometimes. So I passed Hamilton a million times, but I never really went through the town. So this was the first time picking her up in 2022 that I'm going through the town. And I'm seeing not just the high school's on the Pike, but I'm seeing the middle school. I'm seeing the Main Street for the first time. Like, oh, this is the Main Street. That's what I've been told about for years. All that stuff. And then we met at Cassia's Bakery. Is that how you say it?
Casciano's?
Not Cassia's.
Oh, Cassia's. Yeah.
Cassia's Bakery. That's where we met. But on the way there, I passed a street, and I'm like, I know that street. That's the street where I wanted to buy that house. And then I picked her up, and I said, we're going to backtrack because I think I passed the street where I wanted to buy that house 2 years ago. I had the screenshot still on my phone. I did not look at that screenshot. I did not go back on my phone. I just used fate to guide me back to that street. And as soon as I made as soon as I found it and made a left-hand turn, there was his house. And of course, he's seeing like these two strangers staring down his house. He's like, "Who the hell?"
Better be careful with that guy, man.
Yeah.
He's a killer.
He's like, "Who are these people looking at my house?" So he eventually came out and we talked. I said, I wanted to buy this house. I dreamed of buying this home. And we had a conversation. I told him I'm a music teacher and I love the factory behind his house because it looked like Batman. It looked like the Batman one where the Joker's lair, that big factory. He has
Axis Chemicals.
Yeah, Axis Chemicals. His backyard looks like Axis Chemicals. I'm like, what is that? And he's like, that's. I'm getting approved to, to have like businesses in there or what have you someday. He owned that. I couldn't believe he owned that. So I said, I'm looking for a music studio. I'm looking to do that. 2 months go by. He texts me and says, I have space. You want to come by? And I came by and I saw his space. And I was a little like, because they were like two crappy rooms, to be frank, but like it could be doable, but I had to ask the right people to come in. So I had a lot of friends, a lot of different people come in and look at the rooms and discuss how this would be done to turn it into a studio. I spent a lot of my savings all the pennies I saved up in the band to make the studio the way it is. Everything from the carpet to the acoustic treatment, painting the walls. The walls were a nightmare when we started painting the walls, but it got done. It was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and it got done. And that's the studio we have today. It all stems from that screenshot in 2020. Again, manifesting, pointing to something. I thought I was going to live here, and I don't live here yet. Maybe I will, but I got a business out of it. I pointed to Hamilton. I manifested Hamilton. That far back, and it's 2025 now.
So do you miss, are you just happy with being able to do music on your own and playing and teaching? Are you totally at peace with not performing for an audience?
Everyone's goal is different. My goal has always been freedom since I was a kid. It's always been freedom.
Freedom?
Yeah, like the freedom to live the way you want.
Oh.
That has always been the goal. You asked Warren Buffett, because he just retired, I've been seeing like interviews and stuff. It's the same thing about like why he invested so early. He wanted the freedom, I have the freedom to say yes to a gig and no to a gig. A lot of musicians live like, what's the phrase? Hand to mouth.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of musicians live that way. Like it's gig to gig. It's paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. Or if they get fired from a gig, it's like a death sentence. You have to if you're a musician, you have to diversify. Or it's like not good for you. So the way I tell people is this, and this is the truth. My life used to be 75% performing and like 25% teaching. Now it's the reverse. Now I'm 75% teaching, 25% performing. I still perform.
You do? But
like 4 times a year, 6 times a year. I perform with a really good cover band, wedding band, Modern Lux. They treat me great. Ethan is in that band. Ethan F, the drum teacher from Out of the Beard Space and the drummer who teaches at my studio. He's in that wedding band. That is like that's the only band he works for. He's like in the band. I sub for them. It's a great time. they're really good. They're really good musicians. They're good people. They pay me good. I'd rather do that. And most importantly, I'd rather have the option to say yes or no to a gig. And then it also, if I do say no, which I haven't yet, but if I do say no, it's not taken wrong. Actually, I did say no once. I had something, and that's how I know, because it wasn't taken wrong. It wasn't like, oh, he said no, I'm never calling him again.
Yeah.
Musicians, I have a lot to say about musicians, especially around here. I travel to New York a lot, New York City. My girlfriend lives in Manhattan. It's a different culture there. I like it a lot more than South Jersey, Philadelphia. And I know it's not just me. I know I'm not crazy, because I've talked to, there's a teacher at my high school. He's not from Philadelphia or South Jersey. He's from the Midwest. So he's come here. He's lived here for quite a few years now. I'd say a little over a decade. So he's got fresh eyes. He says the same thing, about some of the musicians here, the lack of community, the jealousy, all these things, and he still goes to New Orleans and the Midwest and Texas and New York City, and he's like, it's different, it's tough here. People, the old school saying is if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere, and they kind of say that because they have the toughest audience. I think the toughest audience and the toughest people are here. It's my girlfriend too. She's like, I have never seen some of the negativity that I do in my life than South Jersey. And she's lived in many places to say that. She lived in New Mexico for 15 years. She lived in Germany. She's lived in England, Paris for a little bit, Italy, North Jersey and New York City. And we've traveled too.
Do you think it's because there's a lack of opportunity here, that people are trying to fight for a spot, or?
I don't know what it is. I think it's a disease. I think it's like a disease that has caught on and has passed through the generations. And I'm saying, I'm riding a wave of positivity right now, and I expect there's gonna be a lot of people that delete me off Facebook or something, because I'm not letting them get me down. I have, over the years, in some way or another, have what's the word, hermit crabbed myself. To
guarded and
to not be hated on, to not come off the wrong way, whether it be pretentious or too much, what have you, because people always want to knock you down a peg. Sure. Even today, I went to go pick up a solution. I'm getting a CAT scan this Wednesday. I have hernias in my stomach. I might need surgery.
Oh, I've been there.
And it's rough. I went today to pick up the solution I got to drink. I said the word solution. She's like, what are you talking about, solution? I'm like, that's what they literally used, the term they used on the phone. So liquid solution or solution. And then she's correcting me. She wants to say drink, but she's giving me a hard time that I'm saying solution. And then what else happened? I'm like, is this the script? She's like, it's not a script. It's just constantly knocking people down a peg. And I would call my girlfriend. I told her, I'm like, that's South Jersey. That's South Jersey for you.
I think it's that big fish, little pond thing.
Yeah.
It's I've talked about this a little bit before, and I think a lot of it is finding your people, and when you're ready to say I don't want to fucking do this anymore. Yep. I want to be around people who are positive, who are looking forward, who aren't standing still and just trying to navigate the same puddle.
My girlfriend has so many great people around the world. We even traveled to Armenia 2 years ago to meet her tech team. They loved us, of course, as soon as we got off the plane, because they've been wanting to meet us. Great people, the Armenians. And we have friends all around the world and they stem from her people that have become my people. Some of these people have supported me more than my long-term friends. I went to Albuquerque, New Mexico last month to go to a funeral, and I only stayed for 3 days, but I had to go to this funeral because this lady was awesome. She loved me. She loved my girlfriend. She was my girlfriend's landlord at her office in New Mexico. My girlfriend's a graphic designer. And she had a great building with a hodgepodge of people, psychotherapists, lawyers, and then graphic designers like my girlfriend. She was a wonderful lady. Her name was Mary Sims. She has a historical family in Albuquerque. I went to her funeral, and I have no regrets, right? Took the plane, went to the funeral. Her family loved us, and like we're meeting her family for the first time, and they were even going up to my girlfriend. Mary talked about you all the time. These are the kinds of people she meets. These are the kinds of people we're curating in our life. Finding your people that live in New Mexico, people that live in New York City. I go to Mexico, old Mexico, for the first time out of the country, like 2 years ago. Meet people there. They're always liking Dave White's Music Loft stuff or liking my guitar stuff, right? Supporting me from all around the world. But people around here, they'll creep on me all day, every day, and they won't even hit that like button, but they'll take the time to like...
What do you mean they'll creep on you?
They're always looking at my stuff.
How do you know they're looking at your stuff?
Because you can see who's looking at your stuff on
you
Instagram.
can? Really?
You can, yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they're always looking at your stuff. But then, like, you meet them you see them in person, they say something awkward. They're like, yeah, I saw you were in Armenia. I'm like, yeah, I was there. It was good. It was a good time. Like, don't be jealous of me. Like, I had one friend, I even sent him me shooting guns in Armenia. He's like, man, I'm jealous. I'm like, please don't be jealous of me. I'm like, this place reminds me a lot of like New Mexico. There's a lot of great places in America you can go to and get the same experience for a lot less money. The only reason I'm here is because her tech team was, she's trying to sell her company, or maybe trying to sell her company to the Armenians, and we're here, and I'm coming along because when's the next time I'm going to go to Armenia?
For sure.
Right?
For sure.
I'm going to take the opportunity while I can. But see, I'm so sorry. I just want to say this real quick.
Yeah.
This is a part of the reason this is all relevant, because this is what I mean. I have freedom. If I was in that cover band, the phone call I would get, oh boy, right? Some of it's like, I own you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You like at some point you just gotta let that go.
Yeah,
because it is so unhealthy.
It is, and you just can't beat being self-employed. You just can't.
Why point to Hamilton then? If you feel this way about so many other places, why would you point to Hamilton?
Because I thought it was different, and for the most part, it is.
Okay.
I mean, think about how we started this conversation about the festival here, the community here.
It makes things happen in this community, man.
And also the small businesses. I mean, think where I come from. It's corporate hell. Yeah. It's like an 80s movie come to life. I walk into Walmart and I feel like I'm in the beginning of Terminator 2 in Camden County. Yeah. Here in Hamilton, it ain't like that. I mean, you guys do have a Walmart, but still, it's like that's even a lot nicer than like down by me. Yeah, I know.
Oof, God.
Your Planet Fitness is pretty dope. I went in there a few times. It's like really nice. And at night, there's like no one in there, so you have the whole gym to yourself. Throwing that out there.
$10 a month, you could just live there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's a real emphasis on like small businesses in this town.
Yeah.
And that is really cool. Yeah. And you just can't beat that.
So when it comes to your small business, what are your future hopes? What are the plans?
Well, there's not much I can say. You know what I mean? Like appropriately, I can't say too much.
Oh, you gotta keep some stuff confidential.
Yeah, I don't know what the future beholds. But right now, it's going really well. I mean, when I used to work for businesses teaching music, and when COVID hit, my owners used to brag, Dave kept all his kids. I wonder why. Because I'm giving them a quality lesson. That's how I knew I could teach music, because at first I was like scared. It's like, how am I going to teach a 6-year-old? That's tough, right? How am I going to teach a 6-year-old? Then you get in there and you just figure it out, right? And you get good at it. But it wasn't until I started substituting for other teachers, and I'm like, wow, it's bad. Like, these teachers aren't doing these kids any favors. Like, they're playing out of time. Sure. They have a book full of songs, can't play a damn thing. They're just wasting these people's money. Yeah. And not doing any favors for them. And that's how I knew, like, oh, I'm good at this. This is my thing. Like, I'm getting these kids to play. And that's kind of like my unofficial motto. If you come see me, you're going to learn how to play. And I've taught. And that's what I love about my Instagram, what I post. Like, not many businesses really post their students playing. I post the students playing, and you're seeing everyone from kids, teenagers, and adults being able to actually play to a song or play an exercise or an etude in time. Actually really be able to play. And that doesn't matter who they are. I have students that are autistic.
Hey, you got my buddy Mr. Heinz in your class.
Yeah,
I've known him for many years. How's he doing?
He's doing good. He's deciding to go to school for music, like business and technology. So he's gonna start taking an hour with me in the summer, and we're gonna really like home it in.
He's got the look down already.
I know,
dude. You see this guy's hair? You can't miss it. It is, whoa, 80s packed onto one teenager's head.
You don't see hair like this often. Like he's kind of got a special thing going on. It is really big.
Do you find that through teaching you learned, like you've dialed into more things about music than just by playing?
It's amazing how much you improve as a musician. Like even like when I first started teaching, and I'm teaching kids to play with a metronome, it's like, man, even my time isn't as good as I thought it was.
Yeah.
Now it is. You know what I mean? Especially since when I started playing in a band too. But when I started teaching was before I was in a band full time, playing like 5 nights a week. The band I was in, we played that much. We played like in the summer, it was 5 nights a week, and it was all over the place: North Jersey, Delaware, outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
you know. But yeah, you really become a better musician. And I remember my first class at Camden County. I had a great teacher, Jared Antonacci. He was part of the Philly Pops too. Mm-hmm. He said that he was like, when you teach, you got to figure out like, how did I do the thing? You know, how do I explain this into words?
Sure.
of how to do this? You know, so teaching really is, you know, it's a skill set in itself, and it's one that I've come to love, and one to find that I've, like, dare I say, naturally good at. Yeah. You know, like I just found myself being really good at it. When COVID hit, you know, my old bosses used to brag like, David kept all his students. It's like, yeah, I did, because they're getting a quality lesson with me.
Did you go to Camden County College?
I graduated from Camden County College. That is my favorite college I attended. Like I sweat, I bleed Camden County College.
So when did you go there?
I went from 2012 to 2015. The director of music, Michael Billingsley.
Billingsley's the best.
I love him.
I worked with Billingsley from 2007 to about 2015.
Yep. I'm glad his name got brought up. He is a brother. He is more than a teacher. He is more than a director of music. He is a lovely man. He is my brother. I just saw him this past weekend. His students.
Did you go to the Queen thing?
I went to the Queen. I took videos.
Was that?
It was amazing. It was great.
Incredible. I just couldn't make it.
Him and the choral director Evan Graver played along the students.
Evan's awesome too.
I played with his sister Callie.
Cool.
She's like one of the top jazz vocalists of Philadelphia. She's great too. They're both extremely talented. And I liked how they played with the students. I thought that actually made it cooler to see them up there playing with the students like the whole time as a part of the band. Had a killer drummer up there too. Kids did great, and they played these Queen tunes. And I talked to a lot of the kids afterwards and let them know, like, guys are killing it. You got to give them that feedback, you know, and be genuine about it. But it was an awesome show. I had a crazy weekend this whole weekend. I was really busy. There's another band I want to talk about too.
Sure.
That plays Hamilton a lot. Tell All Your Friends. One of the lead singer that was in the wedding band with me, the wedding cover band. We both left around the same time. Me first, then her. She's in a band called Tell All Your Friends. They're an emo cover band, and that's probably going to be like you're going to see that more and more as the years go by. But they got to it before this whole thing blows up, and they're just killing it right now in South Jersey and like Atlantic County. And they play Prohibitions. They're gonna play Prohibitions every month. I saw them this weekend. I mean, every time they've been good, but also even though every time they've been good, every time I see them, like, how the hell do they keep just getting better and better? Because it's a unit. You just keep becoming as one,
right? And
it does just keep getting better and better. And they're killing it. And I really recommend people to look them up and see their schedule and go see them. It's more than just emo. I actually grew up hating emo music. That was the music I hated. It was like, if you were a metalhead, you hated My Chemical Romance. They were the enemy. Like in the 80s, like Metallica hated glam metal. They wanted to like rip Motley Crue's head off. Sure. When I was a teenager, like if you were an old school metalhead, you wanted to rip emo off. Because we didn't have like masculine balls to the wall rock and roll when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. It was all like whiny, like pop punk, emo. So I've grown as a person too. You know what I mean? Here I am. I bet you my 8th grade friends are like, what world are we living in where Dave White is shouting out an emo cover band? But I love them dearly. They're great people. and they're killing it. And it is more than just emo. It's like alternative rock. They play Deftones. They play Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit, and the places go crazy. But last thing about that is I have students in Philadelphia with their stickers on their guitars. So they're doing such a good job being good people, because I had no doubt that my kids at Philadelphia went up to them after a show and talked with them, and they genuinely made my students feel good. That my students became fans for life, put their stickers on their guitars. And I go into school one day, I'm like, excuse me, I know that band. And not only do I know that band, I'm very good friends with that band. And now I'm like the coolest teacher ever, right? So like that's how good this band's doing. Yeah. So and that's another example. Everyone that I was a part of, everyone that was involved in the band I was in, we're all doing really good. I still perform sometimes. I think it was like 2 years at this point. I got to play with Ryan Martini, the bass player from Mudvayne. He was like my biggest influence, one of my biggest influences growing up.
Nice.
And that was an awesome experience, you know?
Yeah.
So just good things are just happening.
I think it's really cool that you get to do all that. But what I think is coolest is from a lifelong educator is that I could tell you why your students don't leave and why it's going well is because you really care.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike those teachers that you saw, you'll see in education, you'll see a plethora of teachers who don't care. So when someone comes around who really does care and actually has talent, it's a good combination, brother.
I got to tell you this too, because you teach at Instinct. A long time ago, I used to tell parents, I used to say, if you put your kid into one or two things, music or martial arts, they're going to be unstoppable, disciplined. And I told Bill that, and he laughed. He's like, look at us, martial arts and music all under the same roof. He was really amused by it. He really smiled to that, you know. But it's true. Like, I used to say that in 2020, 2019, 2018. And here I am in a building with music and martial arts. So if you want to, you know, get your kid disciplined, come see us, right?
Yeah, dude.
You know?
Yeah, man. 2-for-1 special.
Yeah.
All right, John. Anything else, brother?
No, man, that was great. It's like, you know, this whole season I've been wanting to like, oh, we got to do like a part 2. Like I just want to talk for like hours.
Oh yeah,
stuff, you know.
I almost want to apologize because I really just like ran on
sentences. Funny when people complain when they apologize for talking on a podcast.
The best episodes are when we don't have to say
a thing. I mean, you know? I'm just really fired up right now. Things are going great. I have a lot to talk about. There's so many stories. Yeah. There's just one last thing I have to talk about before we go. Another kind of like confidential thing. Another venture I'm looking into Hamilton, but I'm looking for vendors, people that do art that want to, but kind of two things: sell their materials or their product, but also teach classes. That's kind of mandatory. It's not just selling your product, but teaching classes. Could be if you do paint and sips, or you do resin art. Like if you want to do a resin art class, teach people to do that. Glass work. I mean, we're open to anything that you have a product to sell, and you can teach or offer people classes like in an arts community. That's what we're looking for. So you can find me, Dave White's Music Loft, on Facebook. Instagram, it's DW_Music Loft. Feel free to send me a message. Me and the people I'm working with are open to anything. If you think you can teach classes and have people from Hamilton come out, on a consistent basis, that's what we're looking for.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. We'll drop the tags in the show notes.
I appreciate that.
So we can get that out for you. Cool.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
All right, thanks, Dave.
Thank you, guys.